Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Holiday Break, episode 52. I'm, of course, the Holiday Christopher Mace. This is a little bit different of a series I'm going to try to start doing now. I'm going to start trying to interview different people that I've worked with before on the YouTube world or Facebook or different things like that, just to give people a platform and idea to learn more about these individuals, especially since I promote this man a lot right here. You'll hear me say this name a lot on all my shows when I do predictions or interviews and stuff like that. You'll hear me promote this man channel. This is the one and only WarhawkBeyond2040. Warhawk, how you doing today?
Very good, my friend. Glad to be here. And how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Like I said, I know it's the early afternoon there, and it's early in the morning here to me. So it's one of those our time differences between the U.S. and UK are two different things.
Yeah. Weather's not good here today. It's been raining all day.
It was raining last night here too, and it started raining again this morning. So it's like, yeah, I love Florida weather.
Oh yeah, gotta love the rain.
So as anybody who does know, will be promoting this man. This man has been running a YouTube channel for quite some time now. So my first question for you is, how exactly did you decide one day I'm going to pick up a camera and start a YouTube channel? Was it just you had this planned out for months and just went with it, or was it one of those things you decided one day, like, hey, I'm just going to do it to see what happens?
Well, originally I didn't really have any plans to do a channel. This kind of thing just happened by accident, really. It basically started about 7 years ago, back in 2014. I did have a YouTube channel very briefly, but I got hit for a strike. I think it was to do with music or something. So I just stepped away from it. My original YouTube name was CW2039, but that didn't last very long. So I stepped away from that for a while. And then, but one day I was going on YouTube and I came across a YouTube channel called Project Batman Beyond. And they're a group of guys, they're trying to put together a fan-made film of Batman Beyond, which is going to focus on the apocalypse of '09. And I thought these guys were pretty cool. And one day they decided to do a YouTube video. Said, look, we're putting this thing together. We want to make a fan-made animated movie. Send us ideas, pictures, anything, and we'll talk about it on our next video. So I thought, okay, that'll be something fun to do. So I searched around, found some cool pictures of Batman Beyond from the early years where he was wearing a red cape with the Batman Beyond suit. So I sent it to these guys. I thought that nothing's going to happen. They're not going to reply because they're in the US and I'm here. So I sent it to them. And then within, I think, a week, I got a notification because I didn't have a YouTube channel, but I was still subbing to other channels, so I was able to watch, but I didn't have an account. And then I watched their video and they gave me a little shout out. Said, oh, we're very impressed with all the stuff that, we've been received from everyone, particularly these two from the more recent comic books. And it saw my name under the bottom, says special thanks to Christopher Walters. And I just thought, oh, wow, they actually gave me a little cool plug there. They actually gave me a little shout out there. I thought that was really cool. And from that moment, I thought this could be something that I could actually get involved in. These guys gave me a shout out. I mean, I don't even have a YouTube channel, but for them to give me a little plug was quite nice. So it just went from there, really. I set up my YouTube channel on June 27th, 2014. And it just went from there, really. But I didn't really put up any videos for a long time until round about, I think, was December 2017. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll come up with a name, which is WarhawkBeyond2040, which we'll talk about how the name came about in a moment. But I just did 2 videos, no music, just a few pictures. I thought, well, I'll just do a couple tryout videos and see how it goes from there. I've got nothing to lose, but I'll make sure there's no music or anything so I don't get hit for copyright strike. And the 2 videos that I uploaded was my cast choices for a Batman Beyond live action movie, and the other one was my cast choices for a Fantastic Four movie for the MCU. And I uploaded both of them, not at the same time. I think I uploaded like Batman Beyond first, and then the Fantastic Four, I think like a few days after, and they did really well. It just absolutely exploded. Just did really, really well. I think those two that I did are like my two most watched videos that I've ever done out of everything I've ever done for the past almost 7 years now. Um, those two are probably my most watched. It's just still growing, even to this day. It's still growing. I think probably the Batman Beyond one did a little bit better than the Fantastic Four, but both did well. And that's just kind of how it started, really. It just grew from there with those two videos. And then just slowly over the course of time, I just started adding different kinds of videos, and it just went from there, really.
So that's interesting because I remember seeing both those videos. I remember seeing both those videos and watching both of them. I remember at that time they both were at over 1,000 views. So now my question for you then is: so you did all that, you got the shout outs and everything, you got the acknowledgement, coming up with ideas of that stuff. So what did you have to do? Did you have to go run out and buy yourself equipment or something like that? Did you just start using your phone? Did you already have everything you needed? I mean, once you decided this is what I'm going to do, what did you exactly have to do to get started? What did you have to get for yourself so you go ahead and get started doing these videos?
Well, my old laptop that I had a built-in webcam, so I didn't really have to like buy any equipment. So it was all there for me. It's just I never really used the webcam much other than Skype, which, as we all know, Skype's notorious for crashing and things like that. So I never really bothered using the webcam much. But it had a built-in camera in my old laptop, and I started making videos through an app that was already on my laptop, which I never really hardly used much, which was a Windows Video Maker. So it's free already. It's there whenever I want, and I would just restart recording stuff through the Windows Video Maker and save them and make them into like MP4 files so I could upload them on YouTube. So I never really did it on the phone because I didn't want to do it on the phone, because if it goes wrong, then I can't really go back and edit it. But at least with the Video Windows Maker, I can just stop and pause, change some stuff, and work around it, and then you'd have your finished video, or as manufacturers call it, your finished product, so to speak. So I didn't really have to buy any equipment in that sense. It was all there for me, ready to use.
All right, so that sounds good. So now the next question is, so then, all right, you got all your equipment, you've gotten all the acknowledgement, you got confidence in doing all this stuff. So then how did you come up with this name, Warhawk Beyond 2040?
Well, anybody who reads DC Comics will know that there's a reference in there. The name Warhawk Beyond came about from Batman Beyond, because Warhawk is actually one of my favorite DC characters from that show. He was part of the Justice League Beyond team, and he reminded me a lot of Hawkman, because he's also one of my favorite DC characters. So I looked at it like, well, he's kind of like a Hawkman Beyond. And, you know, it's set in 2040 at the time Batman meets these guys. So I thought, well, that'd be actually a kind of a cool name, you know, Warhawk Beyond 2040. So he's Warhawk, appears in Batman Beyond in the year 2040. So that's how the name came about, because he's a reference to the character from the Batman Beyond animated series and the comic books. So that's how the name came about, and it's stuck here ever since.
Yeah, sort of like my name, like the holiday I got given to by shout out to Stephen R. Osborne. When I was doing the NXT parties, he said, "Okay, well, we're gonna give you a nickname. We want to call you the Hardcore Holiday." I'm like, going, I don't know if that sounds right, but so they said, "Well, your name sounds like a holiday, Christmas, so we'll just call you the Holiday," and it's actually stuck, and that's I still use that name. So Stephen R. Osborne was the one who actually created my nickname, and I just kept it on there ever since, and I just use it for my YouTube channel. So
Nice.
So then you get this, you come up with a name, you get the concept, you get some great success in the first two videos. Then where does your mindset go? How does your thought process go of what am I going to do? Because I know you also do other videos, which we'll talk about in a minute. So did you decide first, or I'm going to only stick with DC stuff, related stuff, versus was that your idea, or did you have other ideas and thoughts of what you wanted to do after that?
Well, at the start, I was just doing initially like fan cast videos, like putting together my cast choices of actors and actresses who I'd like to see appear in like a DC movie or a Marvel movie. Another one that I did very early on was my cast choices for Spider-Man Homecoming sequel. And it went from there, and I did another couple more, like 6 animated choices for a Batman animated movie. Then I did a follow-up, my choices for DC animated movies, things like that. I was just doing more things like cast choices and choices for films and things like that. That's what I was doing very early on. The whole thing, like reviews and stuff, that came like a few years later. And I was just doing things like that, just cast choices. And the one of the first series that I did was my theory series. The first video that I did for that was my theory on how I think John Diggle could become the Green Lantern in the Arrowverse. That was the first one that I did, but there was no plan for me to do, you know what, I'm going to do a theory series. I just thought I'll just do that as a one-off and see how that goes. And I know there's a lot of John Diggle fans who like him, and it just kind of grew from there. And then that was kind of like the start of one of the first series that I did on the channel, was my theory series. And the other stuff, that like the cast choices and stuff, that became another separate series later on, as I was just starting to like broaden the ideas really. And the whole music and intro things, if you watch some of those early videos, I did have an intro, but there was no music because I was still trying to find an identity for these things that I was doing. So I thought, well, if I want to get more noticed, then I don't just want it to be, oh, hey guys, it's me, welcome to blah, blah, blah. I thought, well, no, you need something to grab people in. So I thought, come up with some intros. So I came up with the intro for the theory series. And the other thing that you see, like cast choices, that's kind of like a bit of everything. So there's a bit of reviews, some discussions, and cast choices. I don't really have a proper name for that as such. I just call it like reviews, fan cast choices, and discussions, etc. So it just kind of went from there, really.
So then you're starting to build up the channel now. You're getting everything, you're getting those shows ideas going. So what was the first show you actually did a review on? Like I know you do a lot of stuff with the Arrowverse. I know you do the Flash series, Supergirl, Batwoman. You do a lot of different shows like that. What was the very first one you did, and what made you think, man, you know what, I should just try to do some review shows on some of these shows that I'm a big fan of and I love and support? So what made you come up with the idea of, all right, I'm going to do a review of these shows? What was the first one you ended up doing?
The first one I ever did was Batwoman, because Batwoman was making her debut in the Arrowverse, and I thought, well, this would be a good idea to do a review series on that. So, and also the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover 5 parts one was coming up around Christmas time. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, I know all these shows are all connected to each other. So I thought, well, let's start with Batwoman and go from there. So I was doing Batwoman first for quite a while. And when I realized that a lot of these episodes are all connected with each other, I thought, well, you know, why don't I do Arrow as well? Because Arrow was already coming to an end. They had announced that Arrow was going to end after season 8 with just 10 episodes. And that was originally just going to be a one-off. I was going to just do Arrow, do the 10 episodes, review all of them, and that was it. But then, as I said, I realized that all these shows were actually connected to each other leading up to Crisis. So I thought, well, I'm doing Arrow, and I'm already doing Batwoman. Why stop there? Let's just review all of them. So
Yeah.
it just went from there. I started doing Arrow, then I started doing Batwoman, and then I started doing Supergirl, and then I did The Flash because Flash is probably my favorite TV show out of the entire Arrowverse. Legends of Tomorrow, I kind of held off for a while because I hadn't really been a fan of the path Legends of Tomorrow had been going on in recent seasons. They started getting a bit more silly and comedic, but I thought it's kind of wrong to leave Legends of Tomorrow out of that because they're a big part of the Arrowverse, whether we like the path they're on or not. So it kind of made sense to just include them in the reviews. And that's how it went, really. It started from one review series to now spanning to like 5 or 6.
Yeah, because I know you put out a lot of different shows during the week. I know we always share each other's content.
Yeah.
So there'll be times you'll wake up and have like 5 or 6 shows that I've done, and I'll wake up going, well, they got 3 or 4 shows today, and I try to watch every bit of them and watch every minute of them. That way, if I see something, maybe there's something wrong or something, or if you had something like your sound went off at like the 3-minute mark for like 3 minutes, you didn't catch it, I can say, hey man, your sound went off here or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's like
And
the same with like your videos. It's like I'd wake up in the morning, I'll say, he's done like 3 or 4 watch alongs, and some of them are quite
yeah,
long. So I try to like watch the short ones first because I know the long ones are going to take a while. So I thought, well, I'll watch the short ones first that are like under a minute or 2 minutes, and then I'll watch the long ones like later on in the day when there's not much else going on. So I'll try and get them shared.
I got smart though. I put yours. What I do is if you send me a few videos, I put them on watch later, and then I'll like listen through. Like if I'm doing house cleaning, I can put on my Bluetooth and listen through them during the whole time and listen to them all. And if I hear something, I can critique it. Or if I say, oh man, he didn't might not know he didn't have sound or it blacked out at this point. But we've had videos like that. It just blacks out. Like one of our last shows, the Justice League Snyder Cut review, we didn't realize you were blacked out the whole time.
Yeah, that was more the fault of the old laptop. That was just. I mean, the audio came out fine if you remember, but you just couldn't see me, so I had to turn that into an audio review, which is a shame, really, because we worked so damn hard on that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So my next question is, I know you also done other videos as well, not just DC and watch alongs and stuff like that, reviews. You also have done WWE and wrestling related videos. So what was the first WWE wrestling video that you talked about and did?
I believe I don't remember exactly the first one, what it was, but I think the first one that I did was either DX versus the Brothers of Destruction at Crown Jewel or the Evolution reunion on SmackDown. It was one of those two. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but I believe it was one of those ones. Those were just meant to be just like a one-off, really. I didn't really plan to do a wrestling review series. I just thought I'd just do a couple of them because, 3 of my favorite teams from wrestling, Evolution, DX, and the Brothers of Destruction. I thought, well, I'll give a little plug to those ones and then just go from there. And then, I just kind of thought to myself, why not do some wrestling videos? I mean, I've seen quite a few people who have done it. I follow 2 wrestling channels, Solo Monster Sounds Off and Good Mic Work Commentary. So I thought, well, those guys, they do an excellent job with wrestling. So I thought, well, I could do that. Why do I have to just limit myself to just DC and Marvel? As much as I love doing those stuff, those are very important to me. Why not just spread my wings out more? Let's do some other stuff. Let's just not restrict ourselves to just one thing only. Let's just see what else I can do. So that was kind of how it started, really. So I just put those 2 out there, and it just went from there.
So that's pretty cool because, like I said, that's what I remember. I remember the first video I saw was actually one of your wrestling videos, and that's how I got introduced to your channel. Because if you remember this, you remember which holiday break you first came on my channel?
Oh man, it was a while ago. I know that.
A long time ago, yeah.
It was a time ago. Oh, I can't remember now
It was
because you've done so many. That's why it's very hard to remember which
it's the holiday.
exactly.
It's the holiday break episode 16, folks. If you ever want to check out, that was the first show me and Warhawk Beyond ever did, and I still
Yeah,
remember the funny story. So because I didn't realize he didn't want to be called by his real name at the time, so he had this look when I said, "Here's introducing." I said his real name. He just gave me a look and he interviewed like, "Oh
I
man,
know.
we were already recording." It was like that was the funny part of the whole interview to me was that,
Yeah, I remember that
and that was the
because I'd never
but
done that at the time. That's why.
and that was a funny thing because that same time too, it was that I had just interviewed Shauna Reed and Evan King Francis, two independent wrestlers, and
Yeah,
then we were doing our show about the Hall of Fame, about
that's right.
Batista and the NWO going into the Hall of Fame, and we thought about the Hall of Fame. So that's where our show came in. It was right after
That's
those
right. I
two.
remember now. Yeah, I had
But
to kind of like pinpoint exactly where that was because you've done a lot since then. I mean, that was what, episode 16, wasn't it?
16, and we're on 52 now
Wow.
on this series. Dude, we don't count the holiday opinions with NWA stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. And I think when I was starting to get the Crisis review series, because I was going to review all 5 parts of the crossover, I remember you commented on I think it was the intro for that, because I made an intro for the Crisis crossover, and I remember you left a comment on there. I think you said something about, yeah, I'm a big fan of the DC stuff and Marvel stuff that you're doing. We should get together and do something. I said, yeah, that would be good because not not anyone really takes much notice. I mean, yeah, sure, people like some of the stuff that I put up, but no one really like reaches out and says, "Hey, would you like to do something one day?" Because no one really cares. They just see, okay, it's Marvel and DC. Seen it all before. It's no one really bothers to really take a look, really, which doesn't bother me. But it's just very rare for me someone actually like reaches out and says, "Hey, do you fancy doing something one day?" So that was really cool. I thought, well, it's a start.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, now, do you remember what was the first show I did on your channel?
Yeah. The first one we did, I believe, was Justice League War on Apocalypse, wasn't it?
Apocalyptic, yeah.
Yeah, Justice League Dark. We reviewed the War on Apocalypse, the animated movie, and it just
Yeah,
come out. Yeah, I remember that.
the first one we did on your channel, and then we've done some other ones since then too. That was the first one I did on your channel, and I remember the first one I did on my channel with you. So now my next question for you is, how do you have time to balance all this stuff between, you obviously have, personal life, work, family, everything like that. How do you balance the time to be able to do all these shows and have that quality time with family, friends, work, whatever you need to do in life?
With everything that's been going on in the world at the moment, obviously there's a bit more time to do things, but it is tough because sometimes you just want to have a bit of peace and quiet to do your stuff. And, it's only me and my parents. And sometimes I have to really find the moments when nobody's at home. So I thought, okay, if I know exactly what day nobody is home, then I can do the stuff I want. So, like, for example, Fridays, I know everybody's out for the whole day virtually. So I thought, okay, well, I've at least got about 5 to 6 hours to get the stuff that I need to do. Obviously, I do all the reviews at the start of the week. So that's like Monday to Thursday. But I don't really have like a set time when exactly. I think it's usually afternoons that I do the reviews. But with the other stuff I do on Friday, I try and at least squeeze in maybe 2 or 3, depending on what time I've got. So it's more a case of finding the time when nobody's around. I don't really like plan like, yeah, Friday's definitely that day I'm doing it. It's just more like if there's the opportunity, I just take it. It's kind of like that, really. But it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it is really hard.
So yeah, I can see that, especially since like I know my hardest time was like the week of WrestleMania. There was so much going on that you wanted to keep up with everything. But I think in me keeping up with everything is what ended up growing, doubling my channel subscribers and doubling views and stuff like that. So that was just a craziness of how much people will pay attention to what is going on with everything.
Oh
So
yeah.
my next question for you is: so how important is it to you? You know, you have to find the right thumbnail, you have to find the right music. I mean, how important is it for you to people that actually view the video, critique the video, give you comments or whatnot? Is it that important for you? It's just you, are you doing it just for the love of it, just to go ahead and just put it out there, see what people think, or how do you go about with your theory about all this? How you want to do stuff?
Um, well, obviously we all do it out. We all do it for the love and the passion, like anyone does. With what I do, I always try to find the right pictures and the right music, non-copyrighted, of course, that would fit the picture. So, for example, if I'm reviewing The Flash or I'm going to start reviewing The Flash, I'll look at the picture and see, right, I'm looking at the picture of The Flash. It's got to be something epic. It's got to be something powerful. So you don't want it to just be generic music. You thought, no, it's got to be something that doesn't sound like The Flash, but it's something that could sound like The Flash. So that's what I try and do. I just go around, I search around on YouTube or other websites and try and find the right theme for these series that I do. So, for example, wrestling review series, rock music with Batwoman, something that's kind of close to like the Dark Knights, Black Lightning, something hip hop because I know the show has a hip hop theme,
Mm.
so I try and look for something like that, or if it's something like Legends of Tomorrow, because they've been going on a much more sillier path in recent seasons. I try and find something that's a bit goofy to fit with the picture. So that's what I try and do, really. I just try and find the right themes that go with the pictures. And in terms of like the thumbnails, I just usually stick with the picture that I'm using for that video. But if I'm doing something different, like I don't know, say for example, like a theory video, I think, well, I can use not necessarily something that's in the video. Maybe I could use something else that could draw people in. So that's what I try to do, and I do this out of love and passion, for what I enjoy doing. If there are people out there that enjoy what I do and they comment on what I do or like what I do, then even better. Obviously, there's always going to be someone out there who doesn't like what you do, and that's fine. We're not all here. We can't please everyone. But if, for me, if there's enough views for the video, so for example, if I put a video up that I reviewed an episode of Flash, if I can get at least 19 views, then that's fine. I think, okay, it may not have exploded. We're not always going to have a video that's going to explode and just get like 1,000 views. But I think, well, if I can get at least 19 views, then at least I've done my job. At least there's enough people that cared enough to watch it. If I didn't get no views and just got nothing, then I just think, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to change what I'm doing because I'm clearly not getting any views. But if I'm just getting enough views, then I'm happy with that. I'm grateful for that.
So just a couple more questions here before we get ready to do a kind of a rapid fire thing and wrap it up. So how important is it to make sure you don't have any issues with copyright? Because I know me and you have both had experiences in the past with copyright issues and the hilarious stuff that they say is copyright with some things.
I know.
I know folks like with my channel especially, I know there was one that no matter what I could say, I knew I was in the wrong for that. I just tried it out to see how it would work, and it was pretty successful, and I couldn't fight that, so I just took care of it, trimmed it out. But when you're using stuff as a shareable photo and it says you it's a copyright, and you have to fight it for 2 weeks, and then for it to come back on, it's just sometimes some of the stuff they
Oh, God.
say is copyright is hilarious, and sometimes it's just a generic copyright. They just generically, just say, "Oh, you said a word, copyright." So, I
I
mean,
know.
how important is that you'd have to keep up with making sure you don't have any copyright issues? I know we both had experience past. What would be your advice to people on that?
The best advice I'd probably give is if you're going to use music, make sure that it's non-copyrighted. And also, if you see a song on YouTube that says you can use it, but make sure you copy and paste the credits under your comments below or wherever your box is. Just do things like that, really. So, try and look for free, royalty-free, non-copyrighted music so you don't get hits. The whole picture thing, well, that's just a gamble, really. Apart from that one little thing with the picture, which is still stupid, and getting a pointless copyright strike for the third, I think was it the second Batwoman review that I did for season 2, which clearly
Yeah.
was nothing on it. There was just nothing on it. It was just a picture, me talking about the episode, never said anything bad. I contested it. It took a while, but then they just quietly just dropped it. But as I said, the best thing I could probably just advise everyone is just use non-copyrighted music. Try and keep all of your stuff as original as possible, so that way you can avoid getting strikes. Obviously, there's no guarantee. There's always going to be some idiot out there who says, "Oh, I'm not happy with that. I'm going to strike you." You're always going to get at least one or two people who will cause trouble. But for the most part, I've been quite lucky for the past almost 7 years now that I've not had any serious strikes, apart from those two little silly little moments. But other than that, I've been quite lucky. So I would just say, just keep everything as original as possible, and you'll be okay. That's all I can really say, really.
And I think that's my advice for people too. If you know for a fact, if you can guarantee without a shadow of doubt you have a right to use something, then always try to contest it, because most 99% of the time they will see it, as long as you have a valid argument, valid explanation, and you can prove it was something that was under the shareable act, that you can do that, and you just have to contest it. It might take a while. Mine took about 2 weeks, but it did get resolved and got put back on there. But the only bad thing about it is when you get a video that starts, getting a lot of momentum and it just
Yeah, that happened with mine.
It's aggravating.
Yeah, I mean, mine took to contest it. It took about nearly 2 or 3 months because they just weren't responding at all. They just didn't say anything. I just thought, oh my God.
And mine took about 2.5 weeks, because they did mine Easter, then Wednesday they responded, then gave them 10 days from the time they responded, business days, to take care of it. It's like,
Yeah.
you get the process, but if you really believe in it, something you want to fight, then I mean, you got to sometimes do it if you know you're not in the wrong. If you have any slight idea you're in the wrong, just chop it up at a loss, because I've learned with YouTube, you have the classes that you can take a class in 90 days to remove a strike. So, I mean, a lot of this is trial and error. They change the rules so consistently
I know.
that it's so hard to keep up with every single rule they have. So, now my final question for you, if we do our little rapid fire, is, you're talking about you're almost here on your 7-year anniversary of your YouTube channel. What are you planning on? Any kind of new shows? Are you planning on doing the same formula? Is there anything new in the works that you think you're going to be creating soon?
Well, at the moment, I'm still currently reviewing all of the Arrowverse shows, so I'm still doing that at the moment. Still doing the Jazz Albums review series, which is going very well. I will be doing a rock music review series later on in the year. I've got one video on there, which I did beginning of the year. I've also got a Justice League animated series review series in the pipeline. Me and my friend are going to start doing that later in the year. And also, I've got another review series, which is only going to be a short one. It's a new age and ambient review series where I'll be talking about some favorite artists from that genre of music. So that's only going to be like a mini one, about like 3 or 4 episodes. And then later on in the year, because one of my friends has been egging me on to do this, I'm reviving the Spider-Man 90s animated series review series. So I'm
Yeah.
going to do another one of that. The next one for that, I did leave it open in the last video. I'm going to be reviewing season 2 of the animated series, but it's going to be a little bit different. Instead of doing episode by episode, because I know that series was more chapters, I'm going to do like the whole review of season 2 as like an hour-long special. And yeah, that's what I've got planned really. So that's more stuff like later on in the year. So Justice League, Spider-Man, music stuff. That's going to be like later on in the year, and there might be some other stuff that I might do later in the year, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. And I'm planning to do some more watch-alongs. I mean, I know I've been done a couple of watch-alongs and I've taken them down. Is because I'm still trying to get some practice in before I actually do a proper serious one. And I'm still trying to figure out how to include an intro into the live stream because I don't quite know how to do that yet. And just take it from there, really. But yeah, those are the things that I've got planned for later on in the year. Other than that, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, really, and just see where I go.
So one quick question before we do the rapid questions. So I didn't ask you yet was, how did you come up with the jazz series? Was this a project that you were very passionate about with jazz music, or what made you decide you were going to work on this project with so many other shows you're doing with the DC stuff and then WWE stuff? What made you decide, man, I really am passionate about this jazz review series? Because it started growing slowly and then it really took off in the last few episodes. So what made you decide you wanted to do that series?
Well, I'm a big jazz music lover, have been for many years, and I just thought this could be something that I could do because I hadn't really seen a lot of people covering jazz music on YouTube, very rarely. A lot of the channels that I have seen or I do follow tend to mainly cover rock music and heavy metal and very little on jazz. So I thought, well, I'm not going to copy exactly what they do. I'm not, because there's one channel I watch. He does like ranking albums of a band. So they've done 10 albums, and I'm going to do like my top 10 of those albums from 10 to 1. But I didn't want to do it like that. I thought I wanted to do something a bit different. So the idea came about from doing one album review per episode to eventually doing like a whole catalogue of an artist or a band. So it just kind of started really small and just kind of grew from there, really. And I didn't really expect it to take off because some videos that I did get enough views, but didn't really set the world on fire. I just thought, oh, God, maybe they don't like the artist I'm talking about, or maybe they don't know who they are. But I thought, well, I'll just keep going and just see what I can do. And here we are. I think now I've done about 26 episodes, So yeah, that's just kind of how it started. Really, I thought, well, why don't I do a music review series, like a proper one? Just talk about albums of bands, not just old ones, but do some new album reviews as well, like albums that have come out currently. So it's just kind of grown from there, really, and still going very strong.
Yeah, I mean, I just, like I said, you started doing it, and I noticed in those last few episodes that they have started to grow bigger and bigger as you keep going with it. So, and I think you're getting more confident with that series as well. You're getting more detailed about things as well with the music and stuff like that. So, like I said, the thing is about being a content creator. Sometimes we have to reach sometimes outside the box. Like I've done as even recently with me, I've been trying to do a couple things, comic book related stuff I'm passionate about as well. Just
Yeah,
pretty
same.
much like I said, I've had I understand what you're talking about. Like I said, you were talking about the Spider-Man show when you were doing a review there, and I was doing a holiday view, and I did about almost 20. I did about 20 episodes, and the 20th one, I said no, I can't do just a whole show about everything in the week of wrestling. That's just way too much to talk about. I try to keep it short and sweet, and it's like, even then, if I'm already going to do one show reviewing it, why am I going to double do the work again and do another show reviewing the same thing I've already did a video on? So it's one of those things I just say, well, did 20 episodes, we'll go ahead and let it go.
Your Free Jokers video did very well, I must say. That's probably the most. I think that's probably one of, if not the most watched video you've ever done recently. I mean, that one exploded.
Yeah, that one didn't. The watch along of the Broken Skull session with Chris Jericho got over 11,000 views. But obviously, it's because it was the biggest thing. It was a big thing because it was a Stone Cold Steve Austin talking to Chris Jericho, and the importance of that was he was an AEW wrestler.
Yeah,
Used to be in WWE, so it was like that forbidden door of a Austin WWE guy talking to Chris Jericho AEW guy, and it was so hyped up, and there was a lot of people reacted to it very well. But as for that, yeah, it's the number 2 most watched video of all time on my channel so far is the Batman Free Jokers cast.
Yeah, that's another thing. Now that I mentioned that, yeah, I'll be starting up. I mean, I've already put the intro out there. I'll be doing a comic book review series at some point in the near future. So, definitely get you on there to talk about some stuff. That'll be really good.
Yeah, that'd be great. Cause I just did that video, episode 50 of the holiday break, of all these comic books from the 70s that my dad had. Some are just don't even make anymore. So I think it was very interesting. So, yeah. All right, Dan, let's get ready to wrap it up here. So you ready for a quick rapid fire question here?
Quick question for you. What are your future plans for the channel this year? Obviously, you're doing, your New Japan wrestling and NWA stuff and AEW stuff. But aside from that, is there anything else you've got on the pipeline that you'll be doing in the near future?
I got some graphic novels for comic books that I'm going to be reading and then doing reviews on as well. And just going to keep on going with stuff. I may do a show about different eras of comic books. I did one on the 70s because that was the comic books my dad had growing up as a kid. So I think if I can continue to do something like that, talking about different comic books from different eras, the 70s are important because those are the ones that are value with money, being how they're 10 cents, 12 cents, 15, 25 cents, and whatnot. We know the comic boom in the 90s, everybody thought, buy comic books, you can retire off them, but so many people bought them that they became, it's like the same equivalence. If you collect baseball cards and you make so many of them and everybody collects them, after a while you have so many out there, they're not worth as much because there's so many of them.
Yeah. The 80s was quite big for comic books as well, like 84 to 87. They were quite big years, especially in Marvel, the whole X-Men Apocalypse arc that was going on. They were quite big bestsellers for Marvel. And also you had Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. That was a big seller for DC in 1986. So the 80s was quite big for comics as well. So that's definitely something maybe you could do, the focus on DC and Marvel the 80s, because there was some big stuff in those years.
Yeah, or do a comic versus the movie, because they add stuff, and like the Killing Joke's a perfect example. They added stuff to that movie compared to the comic book.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the graphic novel of The Killing Joke. Don't get me wrong, I love the animated movie, but one thing that I would have changed, I wouldn't have had the Batgirl prologue. I didn't think it was needed. I think it was unnecessary. I think I probably would have had that as like a short part of the showcase extras. I would have had that as a short. Could have still tied that to the movie, but I don't think it should have been the prologue. But I understand why they did that, because they wanted to stretch out the time-wise. But if you're a fan of The Killing Joke, graphic novel's way better. Much, much better.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to do this rapid fire question. This is something that Mark Reviews, aka Mark Griffin, shout out to him for all the great groups he has created. He did this all the time. He had like a series of like 7 or 8 things. I give you 2 things. You pick which one you like better. Okay? You've seen that before on some of the shows before?
Can't say as I have seen that, but yeah, fire
Okay,
away.
so I just ask you two things, and you tell me which one you prefer better. Okay.
Go for it.
All right. DC or Marvel?
Oh no, I wasn't expecting that one. Oh man. Well, I mean, oh no,
You
that's
gotta
a tough
pick one.
one. That's a tough one because I like both, but I like both, but for different reasons. If I'm truly honest, oh god, if I'm truly honest, I probably would go with DC
Okay.
because I love
Coke.
Marvel. I love Marvel. Don't get me wrong, but I think I like Marvel more for the cartoons. But I'm probably more of a DC guy, if I'm truly honest.
All right. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi,
Coffee or tea?
tea,
Pizza or tacos?
pizza,
Superman or Batman?
Batman.
All right. Oh Lord, well, now you got me there. All right, here's my favorite one. And he always asks, and everybody, I think one person said it right. He wanted Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. All right. So, all right. WWE or AEW?
If you'd have asked me 20 years ago, I would probably have said WWE. But with the way things have been with WWE recently, I like what AEW are doing at the moment. So I'm going with AEW.
All right. Flash or Arrow?
Flash,
All right. Supergirl, Batwoman.
Supergirl.
All right. So that's pretty much, I'm going to conclude that little rapid fire here. That just pretty much gives everybody a basic idea of what some of the things you're interested in. So it's great to have you on Warhawk Beyond 2040. I'm glad I'm going to start trying to do more of these shows with different people from YouTube or Facebook groups and have conversations and get to have a little bit more knowledge of them and what they do. So do you have anything you like to plug or promote?
Um, Only thing I'm going to be promoting at the moment is the Theory series. There'll be 2 theory videos coming up very soon, which are going to be my theory on how I would introduce Metallo into the DCEU. And the other one that's coming up is my theory on how I would introduce Bizarro for a Man of Steel sequel. And there'll be some more special editions for the Jazz Review album series. And the Arrowverse stuff, yeah, that's still going to continue. I'm still going to be reviewing all of those shows, and I'll be reviewing the next new episode of Superman and Lois, which is coming up very, very soon. I think Superman and Lois comes back next week, so make sure you don't miss the review for that, which I'm personally looking really forward to the new episode. So I'm really excited to review that because Superman and Lois for me has been probably the best show in the Arrowverse so far. So make sure you don't miss those, and stay tuned for other surprises because you never know what I'm going to come out with next.
Yeah, you just never know. Like I said, I mean, so earlier said we're 2 guys that are passionate about the projects we do on YouTube. We've got the privilege of working together before in the past on different stuff. I know we're going to try to do another watch along of another DC movie relatively soon. I'm not going to spoil what it is. I'll let y'all find out when it comes out. And it's like I said, we just do work in life. So like I said, thank you for following my channel, the Holiday Christopher Mace.
Yeah, same to you. Thanks for following my channel as well. Much appreciated.
Man, no problem. And I appreciate everybody who supports just not my channel, but other channels as well, like Warhawk Beyond 2040. People like Jen Loves Wrestling, the People's Wrestling channel, Rex Boss Gaming, like I said, different Facebook groups. There's so much YouTube channels out there you can watch. There's so many Facebook groups you can be a part of for any subject you want to talk about. I definitely would check them out. Like I said, you got Nice Guy Andy, the Nerd Nation, who's been big help supporting our channels and sharing content with our stuff as well. You know, Team WE, Team NWA, Team All Elite, Team Impact, Team New Japan. We want wrestling talk, wrestling discussion, meltdown. You know, a lot of great Facebook groups to be a part of. A lot of different groups in there too for any subject you are a big fan of. Their nation is pretty much universal. It's like it talks about anything you want to talk about pretty much, as long as you're always respectful. They're a great group to be a part of. And like I said, I hope everybody at the end of the day just take care, stay safe with each other. Like I said, thank you again, Warhawk Beyond 2040 for being on. And until the next episode where I interview my next guest, hope everybody takes care, stay safe, and have a good night.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.